talked to him a while ago. So I was talking to this guy about we're going to be doing our water tower hopefully next, and a design for the water tower. And I told him, I said, well, for sure you need to have the train as part of the design to put on the water tower. I mean, because that's over right there. He said, you know, last time we did it, I guess it was like the high school, the double O.
It looks like the high school. The chicken? Was it the chicken?
Somebody's home.
It was my phone, because I'm putting it on, I'm fixing to put it on mute.
I thought I
It was
heard it
mine.
back here.
I thought it was, I heard it back here too. That's why I was like,
I thought it was that.
and then it's not gonna work.
So,
Well, then I must be a ventriloquist.
so I told him, well, whatever design you come up with, make sure you put the train. You gotta have a train up there. You can actually look it up, like Odem water tower. It came with like a water.
They will do that because
It's long.
Who's the rest of
I guess I heard that over.
Is it gonna be going faster?
It's gonna go back. When I was on the southern side. Between the cemetery and down.
701?
Cemetery and down.
I'm gonna escort you out.
Yeah.
I need that rest out of the room.
Something to.
Did he respond?
Some stuff done.
Hey, welcome to Odem.
The train company, I first interviewed here.
All right, we're gonna go ahead. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I declare a quorum. We're gonna go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas Pledge: honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Do we have anybody any public comments? Judge? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Carlos Vargas,
Carlos,
up here.
up here, sir, please.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. I just want to bring up the restrooms in the city park. After 5 o'clock, they're locked up, and that's when all the parents take their little kids to play. On the weekends, they're all locked up. The family has to leave the park so children can go to the restroom. Instead of having them open during the day and in the afternoons, they're locked. And a lot of people, I mean, like this past weekend was a beautiful weekend, and people were leaving because there was no restrooms open.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you, and I made a note of that, and we'll see what we can do.
If y'all need someone to open it and lock it, let me know. I'll do community service.
All right, maybe we'll get the judge. Maybe the judge has somebody. I appreciate
So I know I'm on the agenda a little bit later on for Railroad, but I did get a chance to talk to Pam Hill. I think we talked about the EBC meeting, and she says Odem doesn't have a May election this year, so there won't be anything for the citizens to vote on as far as what what I had wanted to put on that election. So whatever I wanted to put on that, it's gonna have to wait all the way till November. But she said it'd be good to get the ball rolling, and I'm gonna meet with her tomorrow. So we'll see. I mean, it is pretty elaborate, the steps you have to take, get the signatures and all that, put it in the newspaper. But I'll meet with her tomorrow and get it in writing, and maybe get the ball rolling for November. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council men and women. Just wanted to report that we'll be paving 1568, County Road 1568 tomorrow. Quite a bit of delay with some antique equipment that we're replacing. So probably about noon when it gets warm, we'll get that cemetery road paved, and it's a beautiful road. We widened it. We added extra culverts, enlarged them to get the water moving and getting it out fast. We graded the waterway through to the other side of the highway. So once all that's done, if we get, it won't stop flooding, but it'll help reduce it some. So we continue to work on flood mitigation and getting roads up. So just wanted to give you that report. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. So we're going to move item number 2. We don't have any monthly reports this month. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do monthly reports from our different departments on a quarterly basis. So like that, they have a little bit more to report to us. So we're going to move on to item 3, discussion and action items to be considered. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 2nd, 2024. Do I have a motion on that? So there's a motion by Councilman Dominguez to approve the minutes, and a second by Councilman Huerta. Any discussion? So we have any discussion, we're going to move to the vote. Place 1, place 3, place 4, place 5. Motion carried. Item B, economic development report. I'm going to go ahead and let the president of the economic development, Alderman Popcorn, go ahead and kind of cover this.
We just got 4 resolutions. One's for $9,500 for earthworks for the demolition and disposal of wooden structures and property known as Sharp Park. That's that one over there. That's going to be, there's a old house there that needs to be demolished. Okay, and the second one's going to be for $6,500. That's the same one for earthworks, and that's I don't know if y'all remember that there used to be what was it, cattle? What was it, Billy? Cattle something?
It should be like
It was a meat market. It was
like
a meat
butcher
place. So they got a lot of metal.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of
butcher
metal. So it's going to be different. It's going to be all metal, and then there's an old car there and stuff like that. So that's going to be for $6,000.
slaughterhouse. That's the one.
$6,500. And the other one is another resolution to approve $9,500 to Taqueria Agave for driveway improvements. As y'all notice, going into Agave, it's big potholes to help them pave on both sides. And the last one is for $9,999.99 for the Railroad Seafood Station for parking lot improvements to include new lighting. That's Nathan there's. You'll notice that going into the railroad at night, it's pretty dark. So that's basically it. Any questions?
So we're going to go ahead. Let's just Just a second, we're gonna go ahead and move to discuss, consider, and take action to approve resolution EDC providing 9,500 to Earthworks for demolition and disposal of wooden structures at the property known as Sharps Park within the city of Odem. Do I have a motion on that?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 632 for 9,500 to Earthworks for the demolition and disposal of the wooden structures at the property known as Sharps Park.
Was that incorrect?
Hmm?
Wasn't that incorrect? Would you put a resolution?
For all of them, right?
Yeah, it's one resolution
That's
for
what
all
I'm
of them.
saying, so.
You should make
So
a
it should be
approve
for-
resolution.
Okay,
Approve all of it.
Just approve all of them, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I make a motion that we approve resolution 632.
I have a second.
I'll second.
No questions on this one?
Uh,
Somebody has a question?
Yeah, we're moving forward here. So we have a motion to approve the resolution. We have a motion by Alderman Candela, a second by Alderman Dominguez. Any discussion? This is where,
Okay. No, I just had a question on it. Why is it split into two sections? Because when you do a demolition, it's usually one bill for everything. And then I was just wondering why it's split into two bills. Because you have one for 9,950, then you have one for 6,500. That's 16,000 basically. So that's the total bill. So why is it split into two sections?
well, one is because one's a wooden structure,
Yeah, but it's still the demolition of the property.
but we're doing it in phases. This phase one is to get rid of all the wooden stuff. There's two wooden structures on there.
Yeah, I know.
And then the other one is the metal. You can't take those together to
No,
the
but
dump.
it's still one job. It's just like.
Saying who? Says who's that one job?
I have, well, the demolition of the property and cleaning it up is one thing that they're charging you for. Because the thing is, it's not, well, it's just like, basic example is, if I pay somebody to cut my grass, they're not gonna give me two different bills for the edging and for the picking up the trash stuff that goes into, cutting the grass. It's just like that. I have a friend who has a demolition company in Portland. He doesn't do it like that. He doesn't break it into two bills. He does one single bill for everything. If you were using two different companies, I could see
Well, it did go out for bid.
what was the bid.
hold on.
Do for Danny.
Go ahead.
I also brought it up on EDC because if y'all recall, economic development, if it's over $10,000, then you get funded right away. If it's under 10,000, you get funded right away. If it's over 10,000, you gotta wait the 60 days. We did question it. I think Amanda as well questioned it. I did look into it, and I did ask some of the people that do demolitions, and they just the same way it's supposed to be a turnkey job.
Right, it's just like I told you, my friend said, he owns a.
But
demolition
the
company.
EDC did not put it as a turnkey. Did you recall, Vice President, did we do it as a turnkey? Mr. Mejia, was there a turnkey or is it two separate things, right?
Two separate
I mean, there's 1, 2, 3,
But
4.
it's still one job.
For finance purposes, I mean, to me, I want to approve that he gets it, but I want him to wait the 60 days. It's a good project. We need to get that. out
Yeah, I
there.
don't have any, I was
I
just
just-
asking a question as to
Yeah, I
why.
just want to follow the rules and regulations of economic development.
I think
Also,
that,
you have to consider too that, he did mention at the meeting that if he did have to do it separately that far apart, because he'd have to re-rent all of the trucks and everything, so the price for the second bid would actually increase again, because he'd have to re-rent everything after waiting 2 months.
The job bid is separate, two separate
Yeah,
bids.
sure.
We're gonna ask them, they were gonna demolish
I
something
mean,
like that.
show them the
I,
bid, show them the bids real quick.
I mean, if they got two separate bids, I mean, you bid for one demolition of the structure,
That's what it is,
and
right?
then you bid for the hauling of the metals and sheet metal and all
But it
that.
doesn't, my company, Blue Line Trucking, has done demolition. We've done like 7 houses here in Odem. What you do is when you demolish it, and then you start taking apart the metal, you put it away, then the concrete, you pile it up, then the wood, and then you can even have people come and take whatever if you want, if not, the contractor.
It's one
sell it.
job.
So it is one job. I mean, like I said, we've done 7 or 8.
I mean, and I guess
It's
is
just.
that the way EDC put it out for bids, two separate bids.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you're gonna have two separate
Hold,
companies.
hold on,
You're
hold on,
gonna have
please.
two separate companies, awarded the bid, right?
Yeah.
Technically,
Well,
but in this case, you had the same company that came in with a bid that the council or the,
There was
I-
no, there was actually no bids. I didn't see it in the paper. It didn't come out for bids. I think it was just somebody, hey, I know this person that can handle.
No, council, there's one of our board members did ask me, and I said, have the gentleman go out for a bid. He never approached, he never did come. I think, what was the other gentleman's name, Ruben? Hal Hassel? He did inquire about it too. I mean,
But like I said, it wasn't
Go ahead.
posted.
But my question wasn't, I already forgot part of it, but, sorry, because we got off track, but the reason you take the single bid is because that way the price, like she said, if they have to come back and do it later on because they don't have equipment or they have to, then that way the bid is sealed. If you do it in two separate bids, like she said, if you have to come back later on and you don't have the equipment, then the bid could go up. So that's what I'm saying, what y'all got is a single bid because they're gonna stick to that price.
I think,
That's a
I,
single bid.
I don't think that none of us here don't understand what you're saying. I mean, you've kind of said it multiple times.
It's just a
So,
question.
but
was just
I, yeah,
wondering
but
why it must be two
what I think this kind of falls into is, and I think that we've had this issue, I've looked to work that companies have done in the past, where we've hired a company to do, let's, for example, potholes, since that's kind of a subject right now. We've hired a company to do potholes for us, but then we also hired the same company, and I'm not saying we because it was before my time, but we've hired the same company to do some construction work.
Okay, that's
at
two
a-
different jobs.
So, but it was at the
But no,
same
but that's
time.
two different
So
jobs.
this is kind of,
Potholes and demolition is two
well,
different
exactly,
jobs.
and this is kind of the way they've seen
But
this.
that's not,
I mean,
that's
I
one
understand,
single job.
The
that,
same location.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Again, I think we all understand what you're saying. But when this was when it was placed out, it was placed as two separate jobs because one is actually just demolitioning this home and the other one is actually
So when they
taking
give
other
you the bid,
debris.
the bid is two different bids?
Yes,
Yeah.
You have a copy?
yes, and you can ask if you want.
I'm just, like I
Yeah.
said, I just want to understand why.
So-
it's done that way.
And there's no
so-
way that it would cost $9,500 to condemn that place. That, probably 14,000.
so we save money, didn't we?
13, 14.
Because you're
We saved money, did we?
No,
Well,
I'm talking
he-
about total. I'm talking about 13.
Okay.
Right, Billy, but you approved the vote. at the
No, I
beginning of
approved the
meeting.
funding, but if you recall, I was against that. I wanted to wait the 60 days.
Right, but
Recall.
whenever.
Well, I
But
think-
the
But when
funding,
it came
yes,
to voting, you
and I
didn't
said,
vote.
I'm gonna come over here anyway, and I'm gonna, I
Well,
even
what
talked
was
to
the
Jesse.
motion? Was the
And I said-
motion to approve for 60-day wait?
But that's not up to them, it's up to the city council.
I know, but I'm saying
Because-
you were part of the meeting that
But I did
unanimously
mention that I
said
prefer
bring
to
it
wait
city.
60 days.
Okay,
But
hold
it's
on,
funny how Gilbert has the same verbatim question as
hold
you.
on, hold on.
No, I just, I have.
Hold on, guys, hold
Okay,
on.
I
We have another-
another.
Hold on. Go ahead, Chucky, hold
He
on.
told me I was talking to him about it.
Let's,
So why is it a verbatim if I was talking to?
Mr. Rodriguez, can you please sit down? Hold on, sit down.
Well, you don't need to speak. for
Hold
me.
on.
It's not verbatim.
Hold on.
He didn't say
I don't want to
that.
have to ask you to leave, Mr. Rodriguez. Please, let's go. Go ahead.
I agree with Gilbert. This job is a one big job. You're gonna do the demolition, you're in charge of getting all your materials
Okay.
out.
So again, we're kind of going backwards here. I understand what both of y'all are saying, but hold on. The bid was submitted in two separate phases. So, we have two separate bids. Go ahead,
Our
Mr.
attorney
Dominguez.
saw it.
Hold on.
I have
Isaac,
no issues. I just want to see.
Mr. Dominguez,
So when, Danny waited the 60 days, could he have split his up?
No, because it's his way. He had buildings. He had a couple of building was like over 100,000. Cement's going to be, everything's going to be over 10,000.
yeah, I think his was a total all project.
My question is
This is-
where are we gonna draw the line? If we're gonna make an exception for this person to not turn in a turnkey, I mean, if Jesse wants to save money, I can have my brother do it for $12,000 or even $10,000.
Well,
That's the
I mean,
point.
I mean,
You're trying to save money.
but
But you
again,
come in one time.
And you're trying to get your family.
well, hold on.
I'm
I
not
mean,
saying-
that's just,
But that's
hold,
his company, he said. He said, my company, Blue Line
No,
Company.
No, Blue Line doesn't exist anymore.
so,
No, my brother.
hold on, guys, hold on. So that's, now we're going into something else. That's a
Yeah.
whole other subject,
Yes.
okay? You know, whether your company, your brother's company can do it cheaper or not. We've got a company who bid the project already. They bid it in two separate
He's
bids.
licensed, bonded and everything.
And, you know, we have a motion on the table. Mr. Rodriguez, if you want copies of the invoice
Yeah,
of the,
that's fine. I'll take
the
that.
bids,
I'll show
just
you.
all you gotta do is come in, you know, and,
No, I'm
and
just-
submit
my
a
only
request.
question was just, and it had not, I'm not trying to get it disapproved.
Mm.
My only question was, and people took it out of context, what my question was. All I asked as a taxpayer is why did they do it that way? That's all I asked. I didn't say he did anything
Well,
wrong.
let me,
I didn't say anybody did
yeah,
anything wrong.
let me just assure
wanna
you
look at
that,
the video, but all I asked was, why was it done that way in particular? That's all I
well,
asked.
that's why,
And then
and
people
our
started coming
attorney,
out with,
yeah, our attorney here has said that, to him, it's okay,
well,
you
I'm
know,
not-
so,
I'm not debating this, I'm not an
and
attorney.
let's
So
go
I
ahead
trust him.
and
All I
let,
want is a copy of the-
hold on.
the thing.
You can come into City Hall and put a request for an open records,
Okay.
what you're asking
That's
for,
not a
and we'll
problem.
get it.
Just a question, like I said.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Does the EDC have to follow the city's procurement policy in going out for bids?
Well, they have their own bylaws. I'm not real sure about, you know, how that
Don't you have to
plays
publish
into the
bids
city.
That the city of Odem Economic Development is now taking bids in a paper? Does
Well,
it have to be published?
In our defense, as the president, I'm doing everything. We don't have an administrator. Whoever comes as administrator, you were there, you did most of the legwork. I'm not licensed to do none of this, so I don't get paid. So it's our board that makes a decision. I just bring it out. What they do,
But I mean,
and we try to work within the scope of our,
Isn't the procurement policy an ordinance?
Yeah, and if that's something,
Put a request at City
Well,
Hall.
not only that, the thing
No,
about
not,
it is that
for the Odem.
it's a city-owned property. It's a city-owned property. EDC doesn't own it. So the city should have taken responsibility and asking, hey, we want to go out for bids, and then we approach economic development, hey.
now we're apples and oranges.
well,
Because again, it's not EDC-owned property.
well, again,
I'm
we're,
sorry, I was just
no,
trying to follow
again,
the proper procedure.
we're going backwards, and I understand what you're saying, Ms. Becky, but we're going backwards, and we have 3 council members right here, that if this was an issue, then at the EDC meeting, it shouldn't have waited to come here. That should have been addressed. We should have followed the city procurement. I mean, Councilman Huerta's been here for many years. He should know, you know, that it should have gone out to bid, whatever. Ultimately, the EDC approves, the measure there. And they have the 2 bids. So we have a motion to go ahead and approve, the,
It's like the gentleman said, the structure's gotta be done one way, because it's all wood and stuff, and then the cement things are all different. So he's gotta take one structure to this disposal,
One job.
and then the other one, he's gotta take over here to Camacho's. So, I mean, you were there, so I mean,
Again,
I know, like I said, I do this for a living.
Combine them tonight and
We can't.
put all of them.
if we don't, the reason, if you don't want to do it, just say no, and we'll take it back to city council. I mean, we'll take it back.
I don't approve it, I just-
well, I mean, ultimately,
We're just trying to get the park.
yeah,
we're trying to get the
ultimately,
park-
hold
Yeah,
on.
go ahead.
Ultimately, the money would be approved, you know, whether it's now or in 60 days, you know,
Yeah.
so now if certain procedures weren't followed, you know, this should have been kind of something that the EDC members shouldn't have approved it. They shouldn't
That's
have, they should have voted against it and said, you know what, we need to do this
Yeah.
this way or that way.
Now it's sitting here in front of the city council, and we can go back and forth whether Billy's brother could have done it cheaper or Jose's, junk removal could have done it cheaper or whatever. That's irrelevant right here.
Yeah, but
Our EDC approved it. Now, if something was done and we can improve on it going forward, then that's what we'll do. We'll improve on it going forward. We'll use this as a learning experience, and we'll make sure that going forward we do it, differently. So, yeah, so that's yeah.
It's just a question.
So that's where we are. It's here. We have a motion to approve Resolution 632. 632. We have a second by Councilman Dominguez. We're going to go ahead and finish the discussion, and we're going to go ahead and vote on it. Place one.
I was gonna ask the city attorney that you're saying that it's okay for us to go ahead and split it.
That's exactly the way it was put out. It's two separate projects. So that's what I'm considering, is the fact that when EDC put it out there for bids, it was put out there as two separate projects. So with that in mind, yes, you can go forward, because it's considering one is destructing the wooden structure and hauling that away, and the other one is removing the metal, all concrete and brush that are from that property. So it's two separate projects.
That's all I wanna hear. That way, in case we get audited and say you didn't follow the 10,000, whatever.
Audit.
So
We haven't been audited in 7 years.
Audited in 7 years.
Yeah, laugh about it, but we're talking about EDC.
Audits are now problem.
EDC could have done their own audits a long time ago. You go into an audit, you're gonna find out.
Let's move on. Let's move on. That's a whole different subject. Okay. Okay. Place three.
My answer is yes, but I also want to ask, in the future, can you separate those by resolution or not?
Sure.
Yeah, because if tonight one would have
That's
failed, then they all would have failed.
That's fine.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Um,
We got most of our board members here, so,
Place four.
yeah, so. Yes.
Place five.
Yes.
Motion carried. So what was that? I'm sorry. You wanted to see in the future, we break them into separate resolutions?
One resolution for all.
Okay.
Break them down.
I think we have done that before, right?
We've done it before.
Yeah, so that's, well,
I think
it's
the
it's a learning
couple of
experience.
Ones have been done in like.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, then they'll.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you.
So, yeah. That's good. You can do that.
All right, so we're gonna move on to item C. Discuss, consider, and take action to hire an outside consultant to review the discrepancies outlined in the desk monitoring review preliminary report from the Office of the Governor and assist in developing the required corrective action. Do I hear a motion?
What does it pertain to? No, I'll bring a motion. I'll make a motion. We
Hire an outside
Yeah.
consultant
And I'll second it to discussion.
for
for
discussion.
discussion. Okay. We have a motion by Councilman Falcon for discussion, and second by Councilman Dominguez. Okay, any discussion?
What is this, Mayor? I mean, did you
Okay.
put this on there for what? For us? How, is that
Yeah.
for this right here, this?
Right, so, on December 8th, we received, well, actually, it was on January, we received a letter, in reference to the Texas Lone Star grant, that the police department was awarded in 2021. The grant, they did an audit, basically, it's called a desk review. And there was a lot of discrepancies in there. There was things that were not signed, timesheets, time cards that were not signed. There were some discrepancies on what the city had asked for reimbursement versus the actual paper documents that were submitted for review. In some cases, the city asked for a reimbursement, but then when they did the audit and they looked at the documents, in some cases, they were asking for more than what the actual paper documents. And I'm going to use an example. In one case, we asked for 10 hours of overtime to be reimbursed to the city for an employee. But then when they submitted the actual, during the audit, when they submitted the actual timesheets and time cards and stuff, the officer, it only showed that the officer had worked an hour of overtime. So because of that, there are, the state has questioned $143,953 and are asking that we submit an action, what's the word here? A corrective action plan. They are asking for a lot of things here. They are required, they want us to, there was never any policies and procedures put in place on how to manage, how these grants were going to be managed. So they want us to create, implement, and provide policies and procedures for maintaining a grant ledger, for reconciling posted transactions. They also want us to provide a report or a ledger that contains grant identifying information, details for all costs per budget category, and shows the total cost. Or number 3, submit a refund check for $143,953, which is not in our budget. So there's a lot of work that has to go into this. And I don't think that, I mean, we don't have a city administrator at this time. And I don't think that we have the capacity to respond and respond. I think we have till February the 21st to respond to them with a plan. There are $768.55 that are disallowed costs. Those were things that we asked to be reimbursed. And then when they did the audit, they found that those things were not covered by the grant. So they're asking us to reimburse them that money. But when you're looking at $800 is a little bit less than $143,000. The total grant, the total for this grant was $214,417. So they're basically asking that we come up with some kind of plan. When I spoke to the lady, she said that we needed to submit not only our plan, but also all the necessary documents, like, for example, policies and procedures and so forth. And then we would submit them to her, and then she would submit them to some board that would review them. And then they would decide if our response was adequate. And if not, then they might send it back and say, well, you need to do this, this, and this now. Or they might just say, you know what, just pay us the money back. So that's why I think hiring an outside consultant to help us put together the right words and get the policies and procedures that should have been enacted prior to taking this money from the government needs to take place, because I hope in the future, when we do get caught up with a lot of our audits and stuff, that we can ask for grants. But if we don't have a infrastructure in place on how to manage them, we're just going to fall into the same trap. And I don't want that to happen anymore.
Is there companies that do that? Yeah, is there companies that do that?
I don't have anybody in mind right now.
Is this something that you put out that might be an answer? Where is it?
The policy and procedure?
Yes.
So that's something I've been working on.
Could that be part of it?
This is a policy and procedure that I've been working on. Actually, the city administrator from Fort Worth kind of helped me with this. But that's not adequate. I already sent it to them. And she said, that's not really, she says, now that helps, because I wanted her to review it and then give us some feedback. And she says, well, I really can't give you any feedback, but I did review it and that helps, but you still have to respond to the additional requests that are on here. So that's one step, I think, in the right direction. So
I mean, there's quite a bit that somebody needs to really get in there. And in my legality, I wouldn't touch that book at all.
Yeah.
Let a
I mean,
professional auditor get it. Have you seen it?
Epi, I mean, what do you think? I
I mean, you
mean,
gotta get professional in there.
I mean, I've read the letter, there's a lot of documentation that they're asking for.
Yeah.
I think they're even asking for someone who supervises these individuals to verify certain timesheets that weren't signed or processed properly. So somebody who's got knowledge of that's gonna have to sign an affidavit as to each one of those
There you go.
slips that were submitted without signature or without supervisor signature. So,
and that's actually something that you said that was something that they just, I got an email today, and that's one of the things that they mentioned, something about an affidavit, you know, so. And so I don't know, I mean, what do you think that bringing in someone,
I think so. I think everyone here is too tied up, and this is very pressing. I think in fact, by the time we got the letter, they were giving us what, a January 15th?
Yeah.
January
like,
15th.
We got a 28th and got 15 days?
Now it's February, I think, but
Yeah.
still time goes like.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, just a question. Could you ask them for more time? Just explain the situation that we don't have a city manager and we're trying to get everything.
I've already done that, and they gave us till February the 21st, because we were supposed to, the deadline was January 15th. But they sent us, the initial email was sent right before the Christmas holidays, or right after the Christmas holidays, so we didn't get it, and I didn't get it until January, so we were already kind of behind on the 8 ball there, so. And I know Councilman Dominguez actually, you know, contacted the grant person directly, and I think she kind of said some similar things to him.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And I mean, this is really, I'll be the first to tell you, this is really above my head. You know, I don't really know a whole lot about grants, and when it comes to responding to these government entities the way they would expect us to respond, I don't want to respond with, I'm sorry that we did it, we won't do it again, kind of thing. You know, I don't think that's going to work for them. Yes,
The
ma'am.
reason y'all got it so late and you just only had so much time?
Because the audit was started towards the end of last year. So they've been working on the audit, you know, for the last few months, and they just finished it up.
The city wasn't notified until.
Well, they sent us the final report. I mean, I knew the audit was going on, but the report didn't get sent to us until December.
There is an awful lot to go into that.
This is September 2022?
2021. They've audited from September. Let me make sure I give you the right dates here. The audit was from September 1st, 2021 through June 30th of 2023.
The letter was dated December 28th.
Correct. So,
Get until the end of the year.
so they,
Till January 15th, and I don't think you received it till.
I didn't see it until like January 10th, I think, or something like that. So,
Responsibility of whoever was looking. I remember going to a special call meeting when they were approving the grant, and it was specifically asked, what is going to happen if the grant is not used as it is allocated for? And during that special call meeting, Jamie was the city administrator at the time, said, oh, it will be done correctly because she worked very well with the chief. But then they asked again, I know you do your job, but in the event that it doesn't happen,
who's gonna be responsible? And that's when they said, I think the attorney said, well, it would be the city's responsibility to pay it back.
mhm.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
hopefully that's what's happening.
it was.
I mean,
Hey, you were lying.
The question, the lady that responded to Isaac, she says whoever is responsible for maintaining funds in the accounting system and filing the correspondence FSRs and E-grants would be the one that
So like our
was in charge.
bookkeeper,
It was
Well,
the
it
city
would've been
administrator.
Jamie.
oh, the city administrator,
It would have been her, because I did one.
but who has to give her the documents?
True.
The
Yeah.
documents come from the police department, they turn them in and then.
So.
But how is she?
So let
supposed
me
to-
just kind of answer your
We make a
question.
motion.
So let me answer your question. There's a lot of hands in this. There's a lot of issues with documentation that was provided to them, and there are some issues with finances. You know, so there are some. You know, like I said, there's a lot of people that were involved in managing this, and there was a lot of mistakes done going all the way from the very beginning. They should have never accepted these grants without having these, because I've read the grant already. I hadn't read the grant until I got this, and it's very specific that there needs to be policies and procedures in place before the grant starts being used, and none of that was done. It should be not just like the ones that I have here in place, but more specific on how you're going to manage overtime, how you're going to account for the overtime that's part of the grant. I mean, it's very, very specific, the requirements. And I don't think anybody really ever read those requirements, because if they would have, they would have done all this ahead of time. So to answer your question, there are a lot of people that were involved in managing this grant. And, but now we just need to correct it, because we don't have the money in the budget. It was not budgeted when we did our budget to say, oh, we're going to put $200,000 away in case somebody sues us. You know what I mean? So right now, we're here. The motion is was by Councilman Falcon for discussion. Do you want to change your motion?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss and take action. I'd like to hire an outside consultant to review the disciplines outlined in the desk monitoring preliminary report of the Office of Government.
What are you changing? You're not changing it, right?
Well, we just have a good
Yeah,
discussion.
he just wanted to put it up for discussion.
Now he's
okay,
making a
okay.
motion.
No.
But are we gonna have a tune to how much?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You don't have a name of who's gonna do it. or
just gotta-
Yeah, I think,
Just to go ahead and start the procedures.
RFPs?
The motion is start looking for somebody and how much
Yeah.
to charge.
RFQs?
Gotta look for something quick.
Yeah, you can let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, so once we charge-
What is it, RFQ, RFPs, or what do we call it?
yeah, we'd have to do like a quick RFP or
Did
something.
you
or-
ever handle that when you were there?
Now you just do it on the phone.
Yeah.
In response to your
I'm thinking
question,
maybe,
sir,
Hold on, Becky used to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. in response to your question, when they had a previous grant back during my tenure over there, I had to do, I believe it was every 6 months, I had to respond to the e-grants. And every time I did, I checked with the chief and to get the information, and he just told me just to send there was nothing there was nothing to report at that time. So I followed up and I responded, but there was never anything to give them.
But you didn't have policies to do that, did you? Was there any kind of policies? Oh, you just say, hey, he said, she said?
No.
There's
I had-
procedures to do stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
I had to go on e-grants, and then I had a lady that would call me.
What grant was
She
this?
That was a different grant or same grant?
Well, it was a grant for
The body armor?
uh,
There's a body armor one.
no, it was the grant for the
Human trafficking?
vehicles,
Oh, okay.
and then I think for some
Body armor.
for the equipment
Yeah.
for the vehicles and
And you
stuff
didn't
like
do
that.
a policies and procedures like that?
She didn't ask me anything about that.
Well,
Just
that,
reported.
That's what we're-
Yeah.
That's what we're.
yeah, again, it's not their responsibility to tell us, oh, you have to do, it's our responsibility to read the requirements of the
Exactly.
grant before we accept it and take steps to make sure that we're doing it correctly. It's not the grant person's responsibility to say, oh, by the way, make sure that no. If we're gonna go out for a grant, we're gonna accept the grant. It's our responsibility to make sure that we've read it. And there's a lot of detail in there. Took me a few days to read all through it. And make sure that before we start asking for this money, that we've taken those steps that are required as part of the grant. In this case, it wasn't. We do have 2 more grants that haven't been audited yet. And if they audit it, I'll tell you right now, I've already looked at them. They're probably going to find the same thing. So, you know.
If Ben said like the city administrator, if y'all said it was like an overtime issue, one of them, and they're reporting their wages, she doesn't have, or the city administrator didn't know what time the person was actually working. So that would not necessarily fall on her hands because she's reporting what, or they're reporting whatever is given to them because she's not monitoring when those people are working overtime.
Right, and
Well, but she is notified through email, because I would get notified through email that it was time to get the paperwork together to
But
do
she-
the
but she
e-grant
did.
to
It was
respond.
just-
and let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, and I've seen all those emails, and that was not the proper procedure, so let's just go past. It was not done properly, and we need to move on, because I do hope to get some more grants. So we have a motion by Councilman Falcon to approve, let me see, to approve to hire an outside consultant to review the discrepancies outlined in the desk monitoring review preliminary report from the Office of the Governor and assist in developing the required corrective action. I have a second by Councilman Huerta. We've done our discussion. We're going to go ahead and move forward with vote. Place one?
Yes.
Place two? Place three?
Yes.
Man, I was going to try to get through without making that mistake. Place four?
Yes.
Place five?
Y'all just have an open budget to pay? Y'all not gonna put that in your?
We're just gonna look into it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to see where we have the budget, the money to kind of move around, and see what we can manage. And so we are going to go ahead and move forward, with, announcements and non-action items. We had the Odem Youth Football Academy, Coach Jay Anderson, he's not gonna be able to make it. I don't know if you guys have seen the Facebook page. He wanted to come and kind of present this new program, that he's introducing into the community. It's gonna have flag football for younger kids. It's gonna be, co-ed, programs, for younger kids. Like I said, flag football, going all the way up to, tackle football. And that's pretty much all I know from what I've read on Facebook. He wanted to be here, but unfortunately he's working late. Item B, potholes on city streets. I just ordered, the material that we've been using, for some of these potholes, just doesn't dry fast enough. And by the time, we pour it in, tap it down, and cars start running over it, it just shoves it back out, and then we have another pothole. So I've ordered, some new material. I've also actually, Commissioner Wilkinson has also met with me about possibly doing a, interlocal, and they could maybe help us with filling some of these holes, because we do have just 3 maintenance guys, and they're overwhelmed as it is. So I'm hoping that we could do something like that to at least get these potholes filled.
We're kind of experts at it. We have lots of them.
Yeah, well, we have lots of them here too. So
Is there any,
Yeah.
is there
Still
any,
everybody out.
is there any chance that we can start using the street maintenance money and maybe fix like the one by Family Dollar, like fix all that?
I thought that one was just fixed.
No.
No.
That was just a
No, but it was fixed, like,
But it's just.
Like in May.
yeah,
What Odem didn't do was they didn't do, like a one course. Every year you select different streets and you do a one course where you shoot tar and then the rock.
a seal coat.
Yeah, the seal coat. So basically, they just been patching. There's one on Cooper. If you notice, they patch, next thing you know, boom, it's already. So it's just a temporary fix when
That's
you
a
patch.
foundation issue under.
So I guess my question is, instead of temporary, can we use the street maintenance fund to fix it?
Yeah.
Completely?
we can, but then we're gonna have to decide on what area we're going to tackle first. I think that, we have a list of,
Because the
But-
street, if we use that, then somebody else would come in and fix it. Our city employees would do it.
yeah,
We could play, yeah. We could leave
we,
it. It's part of it.
the potholes next to the Dollar Tree and Family Dollar, I think that there was a discussion at one point here in this city council chamber, about putting the entrance on the city street side, that those 18-wheelers, those semi trucks were gonna end up causing this kind of damage, and then the city was gonna have to flip the bill. I think that there was discussion about putting the entrance facing the interstate or the highway, so like that TxDOT would be responsible for, but it wasn't done. So now the semis come through there. I've seen, you know, soda company trucks parked in that, right where those potholes are. They come, they park, they unload their stuff on pallets, and they roll them to the place because they can't get in to the parking lot because there's cars, and then they got to back up towards the back of the building. So instead of going through the hassle, they park right there, they unload their materials, and then pull them in with a pallet. So I think we had the same issue with Stripes at one time because the semis were turning around right there next to Stripes and damaging the street, and they put concrete down. But I think Stripes paid for that.
We forced them to do it, and then Exxon, when he was open, we all met, and Exxon says, hey, I'm a little guy, and then the representatives from Stripes said, you know what, we'll pay for it. So they paid $250,000 to do 12-inch with 12-inch rebars every 12 inches. So it's pretty heavy duty.
Okay, so before, when Falcone and I got back in here, Family Dollar was not open. So we approached the city
Told them
and
to
told them to switch that interest because exactly what's happening now is gonna happen. Family Dollar refused. So then we didn't open, they didn't open when they were said they were gonna open because we were fighting it.
I
And
remember
they
that.
absolutely sent us a letter, said they were not gonna do it. They're not in the street.
They got
business.
approved. So
They
that's,
got approved.
that's
They were
what
not
they're gonna do.
They were not gonna fix it. And TxDOT denied it because of something.
So
I
now
don't remember
look
what it was, but I
You could
remember.
do, like you, Mayor, you and I talked about, you could, put a no parking zone there and not allow to park on the street.
Yeah, that was
For the
something
trucks.
that we discussed,
That's how they
that
come in.
that
They can drive through it, but they can't park on it. They have to off and unload in their parking lot.
Well, I don't think the parking is the problem, it's them driving through it and turning around and.
well, what they do is
Dollar General goes through
they'll
there too.
Yeah.
Dollar General goes through there too.
The
So
weight of that truck. is-
both truck, any,
Tears that road up.
and I can tell you right now that if we hire a company, hold on. If we hire a company, they're not gonna do 12 inches of, you know, anything. It's gonna be your regular, what is it that they, like, what's it called again? Like,
It's a seal coat, but on truck roads, I do a special pavement on it, and it's not more, it doesn't cost more, it's just stronger, like I'll use a number 3 rock instead of a number 5. So if I know I have like vacuum trucks running up, I also put a road bond on them, and they have to put up a $500,000 bond. And if they tear up my road, I can pull that bond. So I don't know if the city has the same legal, allowance for that as we do, but if I have heavy truck traffic and it's their fault, my roads are tearing up, they will pay for it if we put them up, we have them put a bond up.
well,
it's gonna be it's gonna be the cities, because, you know, once the railroad gets, you know, the railroad, they use Nolan as a racetrack. So we're gonna have to do it. I mean,
well, I've
as you
already,
notice,
It's not just the family.
no, it's,
Even though Family Dollar give you a hard time, even with the dumpsters, I mean, these guys were hard.
yeah, it's gonna be, we got to fix it. I mean,
But where Larson's is too, that first street, really bad too.
well, I can tell you that TxDOT and I have already met about closing that crossover right down Odem Street, just because we've had some major accidents there. So we talked about closing that, so any incoming traffic, the trains in the way, they won't be able to cut through there because it's close. But the residents will have to turn right, go to the next turnaround, which I think is still safer than, you know, we've had, I think, a fatality there already, and just a few months ago, we had another major accident because somebody was driving with their lights off. And so I've already talked to TxDOT about the potential of actually closing that crossover just for safety purposes, and they're kind of looking into that. So like 298,000, something like that. So
well, like
and
you
we
said,
can
we
also
could do an
use-
interlocal agreement, we get an MOU.
They're local.
Interlocal.
local.
We used to do interlocals years ago with the county, that was countywide. We used to jump on board. with
You
that.
have to get,
So we used to get it at cost, and they get it a lot cheaper than what we would.
So, we'll work on that to try to get at least those big potholes out of the way, because those, I mean, unfortunately, that's going to be our burden right there for forever. And I think that you guys tried to address that, but
When is that
You
new
know.
house that you were coming
next week,
in?
and that stuff's pretty good.
I ain't calling you.
It's called Aquafault. I saw it at TML. They actually did a like a yeah, like a demo, and it's got something in it that activates with water. So you actually pour water on it, and within 48 hours, I mean, it's like I stood there for 15 minutes, and when they turned that cup over like that, it was like a hockey puck, and that was just in 15 minutes, you know. And he said 48 hours. It's about as hard as you can use it on concrete to repair concrete. So we'll see. We ordered a pallet. We'll see how it works, and if it works, then we'll keep using it. You know, and if it doesn't, well, we just won't order it anymore. So,
no more pallets.
yeah. So the next item here is sewer projects and concerns. I think we had met with what is it, the county of governments? What's it called? The COG.
The cog.
The COG, because there was some money that was allocated for the water improvement project for the city, but the city decided to use ARPA funds and to start that project. So we couldn't double dip. So the representatives of the county came here, spoke to us, and I think we as a council decided that they would allow us to use those COG funds for upgrading our sewer system, make sure that our sewer system, and I think Mr. Mejia, he's gone out there before and he sees that the work that needs to be done. But unfortunately, I don't think the COG money has been approved yet, or it's still kind of sitting there. So, so we haven't, it hasn't been, I don't know, it hasn't been approved, or I don't know, you probably know
It
more.
hasn't been finalized yet.
Okay.
It's still in the.
Okay. So hopefully, you know, that'll get done, and we'll be able to use those to kind of do our sewer projects and get our sewer system up. Also, you know, as part of this, we do have the water improvement project that was awarded, and they're going to be starting here pretty soon. That was in the local news. You know, we're going to get 3 new water pumps. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Will that interrupt service at all?
None at all. No, sir. The way they're going to do it. Yeah, pressure should be better. The new electronic system that comes with those pumps will be able to regulate. So during peak use hours, it'll pump more water, and then when it's not, you know, it'll lower the pumping. So it'll be a really nice system. We'll be able to actually reroute past our existing water tower. And so we'll be able to take down the water. Right now, we can't take the water tower down. If we do, nobody has water. So with this new system, we'll be able to reroute water past the water tower, shut the water tower down, and do the maintenance, because the water tower has been leaking for a while, and we need to get that addressed as well. So, and I think we have that as part of the COG also, using those funds to do that as well. So we're going to go into executive session. It is now 7:57. You got that? We're going to go into the executive session to discuss candidates to fill the position of the city administrator. We have 4 candidates: Sal Hernandez, Keith R. Murray, Jonathan Kirksey, and Taryn De La Rosa. We're also going to discuss the position and responsibilities of the chief of police for the city of Odem in regards to management of the police department grant funds and possible disciplinary action. All right. We will be back. You got that right, Miss?